Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we were not here last week. We do apologize. Libre and I are going to tell you guys where the heck we've been, why we weren't here. We had to go get a doctor's note, and it's on the way, Johnny. We promise it is. But ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize again for not being here. We are so excited to be back after taking a week off. We are going to talk about what happened in the Super Bowl. I was going to say last week, but from 2 weeks ago. We're also going to recap what the Broncos were doing this season, the top plays. We are going to break them down one by one, give our thoughts about it, and of course, your favorite segment of Broncos Overtime returns today. So please make sure that your food is warm, that your beer is cold, because you're not going to want to miss a single episode of today's show. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, PSA, totally unrelated to today's show. Lately, I've been addicted to on TikTok watching repo videos of people getting their car repoed because they can't afford to pay it. So a part of me wants to tell you, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. But then the other part of me enjoys watching you go bananas when the repo guy is hooking up your car and you're like, I was going to pay it. And then having to embarrassingly watch your car get towed away. So and welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you're watching, is my best friend, the one, the only, the incredible Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? Let's go.
Bronco Libre, why weren't you in class last week?
Because of ice baby. Let me tell you. And no, not that type of ice. We're talking about a stomach bug ice. Cuando tienes el chorro.
El churro.
And not churros. Chorro.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I, unfortunately, we fell under the weather. It couldn't have happened at a worse time. So we do apologize for us not being here, but just we wanted to make sure to let you guys know that it wasn't anything after we celebrated 200 episodes the week before. But sometimes stuff happens. It really does. And unfortunately, we weren't able. We didn't just miss this show, Libre. We also missed last week's show for Viva Los Broncos. So,
yes,
again, we do apologize to all of our fans out there, all the viewers. Hopefully, it didn't freak anybody out when you guys didn't see the notification come up on your thing that said, "Hey, there's no where you guys at." But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is your first time here. Welcome in. If not, welcome back. Before we get started with today's show, got to get a couple things out of the way, just like we do before the start of every single show. First of all, we'd like to ask for your support. If you could subscribe, share, comment, and like this and all of the previous videos that you haven't seen yet here on the network, your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, for our audio listeners, regardless of what platform you're listening us to, your support is also very, very much appreciated. If you'd like to leave a 5-star review, very much appreciated. And you can also send it to us, screenshot it, and Libre and I will read it live here on the air. You send it to our Twitter handles. They're there at the bottom of the screen. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Today's show is sponsored by Dubby. If you don't know what Dubby is, ladies and gentlemen, then let me tell you that you are in for a surprise because Dubby's basically got no sugar, no calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, no artificial colors. It's basically formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including their patented neurofactor formula, which is the caffeine and it's derived directly from the coffee fruit. And to show you how awesome they are, if you use the code OBN10, they'll give you 10% off your order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Shout out to W for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to this network or to the show and you do not know what we have to offer, well, ladies and gentlemen, do I got a surprise for you. All the times that you are going to be listening to or seeing are in mountain time, so please keep that in mind. Orange and Blue Blitz airs every single Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. We have the Broncos Bros because do you even Broncos, bro? Every Monday at 7. On Tuesdays, we have the flagship show, which is the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, which airs at 7:30 p.m., of course. On Wednesdays, just before we go live, we have the guys over at the Mile High Symposium for all of you that are Rockies and Nuggets fans as well, which airs at 2:30 p.m. And then on Thursdays, we have the Mile High Outcast that air at 7 o'clock p.m. And then on Fridays, of course, the only Spanish podcast that I can think of, and probably anywhere within a 20-mile area, Viva los Broncos, which airs at 7. I know you can't see it because of the Broncos Talk logo, but I promise you it's there. For breaking news, we have the fresh squeeze during the regular season and during the here, touch and go moments during the off season, for breaking news. So make sure you get that live notification button clicked on so you never miss a single moment of the action. And then during the regular season, we have the pregame show for the Get Bucked pregame show. For those of you that aren't able to watch the game itself, no problem. We got you covered there for the play-by-play for the bucking booth. And then the post-game show right afterwards, which is the Buck Your Feelings post-game show, where the guys come together and talk about everything that happened in that day.
Oh, man. Can I take a nap now?
Can we go
home? Maybe. Johnny, I think, wait, Johnny just texted. He said in about an hour and 20 minutes or so.
Oh, did he? Is that what Johnny said? Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, now that we've got all the festivities out of the way, what Libre and I were talking about this just a little bit before the show. That was one of the most disappointing Super Bowls I have seen in a while. And the only reason I say that, guys, is because you have to remember that while we're not Patriots fans, since they beat us, they had to go and represent the Broncos in the Super Bowl. They represented all 31 teams in the Super Bowl, and it didn't come to fruition, unfortunately. And it sucked. It was terrible. I was telling Libre before the show that basically all I kept hearing after the Broncos lost was from New England fans was, "Hey, we beat you guys." So like it should be a cakewalk. The Patriots have 2 weeks to prepare. They're going to go and go on a little mini vacation. Not underestimating your opponent is the worst thing you can do, regardless of the sport, but especially in football, Libre, because unlike most championship series in other sports, it's not the best of anything series. It's only one game. So you win or you go home. So it's embarrassing. And it sucks because I still believe that the Broncos would have played a whole 100% better.
Oh, my son just brought this to me. Come on in, bro. So, well, we were also talking about over the summer, or not summer, just over the Sunday. I was just telling Adon here, just on Sunday, my son comes up from downstairs and he goes, bro, what are we going to do here on Sundays now? He goes, I can't. What am I supposed to do on Sundays? There's no Bronco football. There's nothing for us to do. And the best thing that I like about this right now is that we get to watch the UFL.
The
Mhm.
UFL.
So we got this. The UFL is going to be there here starting pretty soon. But no, in reality, though, yes, that Super Bowl did suck. That was pretty boring. The best part about it, the whole thing, was the halftime show. Just like how we were talking about it before, we were saying that, hey, didn't you know that there's going to be a football game during the Bad Bunny concert? You know, so, and that's really what happened. And so I'm super excited that, yes, the way that our season ended was very disappointing. But guess what? We are far from where we need to be as a team. And we are now going to get those little pieces that we're missing during this offseason that's going to help us elevate this team. And I'm super excited for this upcoming season that's going to be here, that now we have cap space money available, and we're going to be getting, like I said earlier in our show the last time, this is now a destination city where free agents are going to want to be here and want to play. And that's something I can't wait. And it's going to be happening here in a couple weeks, and it's going to be a feeding frenzy. And I can't wait when we're able to report on it, to see who we got, especially in the free agency market itself. And if we are going to get a trade and do that, which some of the speculations that are out there, which I'm super excited. What do you have on this?
I mean, yeah, I'm super excited as well. But I'm sure you guys already talked about the Super Bowl on the play, but we were a Bo Nix away from a Super Bowl championship. We were a Bo Nix away from a Super Bowl championship, and I stand by that.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to be scary the next few years. So that's my input.
No,
I
absolutely.
wholeheartedly agree.
Can't wait for it, bro. A damn broken ankle. But you know what? The best part of it, the surgery went really well. He's ready to go. That takes what, 6 to 8 weeks. Anyways, the time that he's gonna be out, not doing anything to after the end of the season, just let that heal, get ready to go. So when you're ready and start putting in that work for the upcoming season, he's gonna be ready to go. And trust me, Bo Nix is that type of pro that he's gonna put in the work to improve himself. And that's what I'm excited about as well.
I couldn't agree more with you guys. Like 2026 Broncos are going to be, like I was telling Libre earlier too. I have a feeling that just looking forward to this team, the anticipation is going to be so much higher, because now that we got a taste of what that offense looks like and what they were able to do this past year, it's just gonna. Oh my god, I cannot wait for September, honestly. But basically, what Libre wanted and I wanted us to do is kind of go over the top 10 plays from the Broncos last year. Now, obviously, if you talk to any diehard fan,
of course.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, nice meeting you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if you ask any diehard fan, there's obviously more than 10. But the NFL picked the top 10 Broncos moments, and Libre and I are going to go over them and give our thoughts, maybe rearrange them at the end if we deem so fit, because I haven't seen this video yet, Libre, so I don't know which highlight the NFL suggested.
Well, neither have I. I haven't seen the NFL version of it, but I did see the Broncos version of their top plays that they put out a couple days ago. So they might be very, very similar, but I feel like we'll be looking into it. I think we're going to have some that might be changing from what they have up there.
Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly agree. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get started with the very first play.
Ready.
Oh, this one.
End zone deflected, and did Franklin get it on the ricochet? Touchdown, Denver.
Notice the time of the score of that touchdown.
Mhm.
Down 19 points. One of the biggest comebacks in NFL history in the fourth quarter. And to let you know, like I was telling Don earlier, I saw it live in person. I saw it live and in person. this right here, that tip pass that he got, and being able, and what I loved about this play too, because this is going into the north end zone. This is where I'm at. I'm in the top. I'm on the 5th level, but being able to see it there close up and seeing all that happen was phenomenal. And like right there, that just that play alone right there, and I went over to my buddy Jose. I said, this is the first play that's going to turn us around. Just remember that. And seeing it, tip play, him getting that tip pass for the touchdown, just barely getting his tippy toes in, phenomenal play. I couldn't agree more. I think this is number 10.
I like this play. I really do. I can see why it was top 10 because it was the catalyst that started the drive. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another player or two in this top 10.
Yep.
But it is definitely a very awesome moment. Again, at this point of the game, obviously I wasn't at the game, but I remember I was sitting in this chair watching the game, and I'm just leading up to the fourth quarter, I'll be honest with you guys, I had no excitement. I thought we were going to lose this game. I was like, this is embarrassing. I was already thinking about, sometimes I get ahead of myself, and I really shouldn't do that. And I was already writing stuff about what to say on the show, who to blame, and, but then I was like, oh, okay, well, at least technically it wasn't a garbage time touchdown because it was still the start of the fourth quarter. Anything can happen. So I just kept telling myself, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I don't think anybody was prepared for how that game ended, Libre, but it did go down as one of the biggest comebacks in NFL history and franchise history at that, if I'm not mistaken. So it reminded me a lot of the Monday Night Miracle from 2013 against the Chargers. So,
when we're down 24 points going into halftime.
And Peyton Manning and the boys came back, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Flat was defending Sutton and had the
Go to
deflection.
number 9.
And unfortunately,
Ariza to punt to Mims, who had missed the last 2 games because of a
return by
concussion.
Mims.
And he's one of the best. He's been an all-pro. Here's Mims cutting it upfield. This is what we're talking about.
Gone.
Here goes Mims with a block. He's at the 50. And it's a chase. There's an angle. And they take him down. It was Roland Wallace who was able to get him. There is a soft.
Now, I will say, Libre, that was a very great play. I don't know if I would have put that over the previous one against the Giants. I would have put that Mims run at 10. Not taking anything away from it, but if Mims would have scored on that, then
guaranteed.
I definitely I probably would have put it higher. But just for the simple fact that he was able to do and granted, the Chiefs by this time were nowhere near the powerhouse that we have been having to deal with here in Denver or in Kansas City, regardless where, for the last, 9 years or so?
Yeah.
So just any little bit of being able to put your foot on the throat of Kansas City was, as a Broncos fan, so liberating. Because
no, I agree.
And nothing against Mims. I'm not saying I need him to be faster. He's been able to give life to our special teams unit because the only other player that I can think off the top of my head that was maybe close to, if not maybe you can argue better, was Trent Holiday. That man, when he had some speed on him, Libre, and the only person to have ever caught him and kind of made him look bad was Pat McAfee, when he hit him out of bounds in that Indianapolis game a couple of years ago. But other than that, we definitely need speed on this team. And while Mims Jr. might not be the fastest in the league, if you give him a couple yards, that boy is gone. And if it wasn't for the fact that he got tackled, he definitely would have took that to the house.
No, I agree. But I don't know if you remember, if you saw that block that almost like what I liked about that block, that it wasn't like a crackback block where that's automatically penalized and so forth. Like he was coming in front, so the guy knew he was coming the whole way. But just being able to lay him out to extend him an extra 25, 30 yards, which was like that's part of why I feel like why this play was here in the top 9, because of that alone. And then the penalty that was out there was also against KC, so so it never went back. So that was the best part.
I wholeheartedly agree. Oh, and also I forgot to mention for our audio listeners, unfortunately, you're not able to see the plays here in person. But if you want to check it out for yourself, go. They're on the NFL's Facebook page. That's where we're watching it from. And unfortunately, I can't do anything about being able to show you guys. So hopefully, the audio itself can paint the picture for you if you saw the game. But let's continue to number 8, Libre.
And try and help the quarterback a little bit. He didn't do that. Intercepted.
That's Ellis. No, it's not.
No,
It's Tillman. Look at Tillman running. That is Dondre Tillman.
That
So
play,
let me
Libre,
talk-
as a big guy, I love that play because Tillman didn't need to be fast, but the way he was able to shrug those blocks and just run down there, he made every single big man proud that day.
So part of this as well is this was the game that was the Viva los Broncos, like it was more for por la cultura, like the Broncos en Español game. And for this game, I was representing McDonald's for this game, and I was able to do the hash brown and do all that. And I got my seats upgraded for this in particular game as well. So I saw this with my own two eyes again. But this time I was right there on that 50-yard line, right where he got tackled, right there, right behind the Cowboys bench, very first row. So being able to see that and to see Tillman pick that off, just like how you said, seeing a lineman being able to do that and being able to do that return, man, how exciting, like for me, as I was an offensive lineman myself playing. So being able to see a big man do that and the way that he did shrug off those and kept on rumbling and stumbling and getting a lot of yards on that return was freaking phenomenal. And I do agree that, yes, this should be in the top 10 as well. And it was, again, at that point, we were killing them by 20 points, as you can see right there on the scoreboard. But, still a game changer because it's right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Because if they go down there and score, they're inching closer and closer to 24. Then they'll be at 24 points. So it's something that stopped it, gave them dead to rights, and couldn't ask for anything more for a big man to get a pick on Dak and return it to the 50.
The one thing I love about this game, Libre, was this was the game where supposedly the Cowboys were going to come into Denver and they were going to put this smackdown on us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you heard living in Denver, but that whole week, I just heard from Cowboys fans, especially on social media, like, yeah, the Cowboys' #1 offense, and they got Pickens, and they got CeeDee Lamb. The secondary's not going to know who to block. It was going to be the Javonte Williams revenge game. And I'll give Javonte Williams credit. He played a whole lot better than I gave him credit for. I thought he was going to be shut down completely at one point, but I'm just glad to see that he played an entire season because I still like him as a player. I think he's a great, great guy. It's not his fault.
Well, the thing is, like with Javonte again, like each individual person, their body recovers at a different rate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just took him 2 years to recover from his ACL injury. And it also sucks that right before he got injured, he was the workhorse for us as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it was doing well. But when he came back, he just didn't have the power. He didn't have it. But again, and I kept on saying this as well from our other shows, is I think everything was in his head still, that he didn't trust his knee enough, even though after you get an ACL surgery done, that ACL is so much stronger than what the original was in there anyway. But I don't think he truly trusted it and all that until this year. And again, I think leading up to it as well, I didn't think we had the offensive line to help get him there as well. Now we do. We still need another piece for the offensive line, I feel, for myself, but I don't think, like, especially this last year, if he'd had the line last year and he was behind and running behind them, I think he would have been a lot better than what he did there in Dallas. Granted, Dallas does have a good offensive line, but they just couldn't keep him, enough.
Yeah. And just for the record, because I am that type of person, once a week I send my two Cowboys fans friends a picture that picture went viral of CeeDee Lamb and Pickens just sitting there with blank stares. Because it's like, hey man, you guys started it and the Broncos finished it. And let's move on to lucky number 7, Libre.
With the interception. And just as impressive of the pick was the return.
Boom.
In real speed, and they are right the majority of the time.
Hand off Harvey, and now a big run up the middle, breaking tackles, and R.J. Harvey on the move, down the sideline,
and then
Harvey
boom,
diving for
there
the
it is for the
pylon.
touchdown.
Get your ticket.
So what I like about this play, this is the potential that we have in R.J. Harvey. And this is something that we need, and this is what I talk about blocking-wise. Because if you notice, he ran between the tackles before he was already in the second level, right? But right there in the secondary already, before he bounced it out to the sideline. If we can continue to have this, RJ Harvey is going to be great, but I feel like we need another running back right now. Their defensive line was not as good as some of the other defensive lines that we did see this year, but that's the potential you see in RJ Harvey right now. And if we can get him right, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be very dangerous in this league. And I'm super excited for it. And that's just a preview of what his potential.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that aspect. I think that the Broncos front office is going to have to do a lot of research, and decisions are going to have to be made over that second running back position. For some reason, I don't feel like they're 100% sold on J.K. Dobbins. And this is just prediction, folks. It's not facts. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make another move for another running back during free agency once they see how the running back market is. If the Broncos do not budge and they don't sign anybody big, then more than likely they're going to hitch their wagon back up to J.K. Dobbins and say, hey, let's try this again. And, let's run it back. Take the gamble. Unfortunately for J.K. Dobbins, his injury history, I feel, is working against him in this aspect. So it's going to have to take something either from him or from his agent to convince the Broncos front office to say, hey, unfortunately, what happened last year sucked. And when we really needed Dobbins, we didn't have him because he was injured. Can the Broncos afford to take that risk again? And if they decide to roll with Dobbins, to hopefully be able to keep him or be able to use him, I should say, for an entire season and not have to have this happen. And that's an unpredictable statement, Libre, because injuries are a part of the game, regardless of what position you play. So I personally, I like Dobbins. I know I had my issue, having him coming to Denver, but he won me over. He proved me wrong, and I will gladly admit that. So a part of me hopes he stays. And if the Broncos do decide to go get somebody else to get in running back the market, I hope they do their homework on him, because, of course, you guys know free agency pickups are they're a home run swing. Oh. Everybody that gets picked, regardless of what team they go, they're obviously going to be more likely overpaid, because that's what teams have to do to win their bid, and hope that the gamble pays off.
Oh, and I forgot to say, I saw that in person as well.
Yeah. Moving on to number 6.
It's now.
Oh, I know this play.
Right now. But watch the play first because they're going deep. They're going deep. And stepping in front is Surtain with the pick, and Watson was hurt. Surtain high stepping and slipping by one tackle.
You know, Patrick Surtain just reiterating the point that you never throw in his direction. And to this day, Libre, I still get people that downplay PS2. It's like, oh, well, he doesn't have that many interceptions. And I always have to rebuttal with, yeah, because quarterbacks don't throw his way, because if they do, that happens. And that was him playing in the safety spot, Libre, mind you. So him going up and getting that ball just goes to show you why he was Defensive Player of the Year in 2024.
I agree. And, you know, one of the other things that I always want to say is I want a good, healthy battle. But that play right there was a scary situation after the play happened because Christian Watson was carted off the field. And it looked a lot worse than what it was. I'm just glad that it wasn't as bad as it was. But that we didn't find that out until like later on because they did rush him into the hospital here in Denver because of the way he like crushed on it, like the way that PS2 fell on him. At first, like whenever I saw that play, especially when we saw it live, like it didn't look that bad, and it was weird on how it happened. But after watching the different angles, I'm just glad that it wasn't worse than what it was, and he was able to play again. And then, like you said, don't throw against PS2 because stuff like that happens.
Yeah, and it's nice to see their first defensive play in the 6th spot. I thought we were going to see I thought the very first, like the 10th one, I thought was going to be a defensive play. But again, Jordan Love still had a hard time against the Broncos in that game. And he played, I'll give him credit, he played a whole lot better that time around than he did the first time when he came to Denver. So he did learn from his mistakes. Unfortunately for him, for the Packers in general, losing Micah Parsons really, really hurt the Packers' chances of possibly winning that game. But up until then, I mean, this was one of the better games of that week to watch, you know, because the Packers, the crazy thing about Green Bay was the teams that they should have beat, they lost to, because before they came to Denver, they lost to Carolina. Yeah. And they lost to Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken, by like a field goal, you know, and then vice versa. So Green Bay was just like this roller coaster team where you just couldn't figure it out no matter how much you tried. And I'm pretty sure they drove people betting on them every week nuts. They must have lost people a lot of money. But this is definitely, I agree, 6th spot is a perfect play for this. And now we're getting into the top 5.
Attempt. Perfectly designed play, should be a home run, but not when you go against
What a perfect interception.
And the run back is
guys up and allowing that front to finally get home.
A.J. Cole punting to Mims. It's a short punt. Mims a running start at the 48 and able to break free. Marvin Mims calling out blockers inside the 20. Touchdown! How about it?
So this play right there is one of those examples of you wait for your blockers to develop. And you see that, yes, he almost got tackled right away, but he shed off that tackler. But he waited as well for the other guys to catch up and get into position. And then with his speed, he's undeniable. He's the fastest guy on the team. So that's why he's in that position itself as well. So being able to be patient and wait for your blockers to block, and look what happens. You get rewarded with a 48-yard punt return for a touchdown. And what's even better, it was against the Raiders.
Yeah. Oh, you beat me to it. If you watch that play again, the first person that makes contact with Mims, it looked like he was just waiting for backup. It looks like he hit Mims, but he didn't try to wrap him up. It almost seems like he was expecting for the whole Raiders special teams to come and swarm him, but Mims bounces off of him, and he kind of goes around that little pack that was starting to build, and then he runs down damn near scot-free. But that just went. Go ahead.
Sorry. But I was just saying, you think that you have the guy right next to you that's going to be cleaning up the mess because you're there. If you're the first one there, you're helping slowing that person down, and then you're hopefully relying on your teammate that should be right next to you to clean it up. And I feel like that's what he did. That's why he went high, and he was like, "All right, if I don't get him here, I'm slowing him down just enough that the guy right behind me is going to get him himself." But again, that's the Raiders do what the Raiders do.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you that by that time, Libre, the Raiders were just I think Max Crosby was probably the only player you could say that was really going out there and just like it hurt him to see lose. And while we do hate the Raiders and we crack jokes on them and all that, outside of it, you hate to see a guy like Max Crosby's talent just going to waste on a team that's going absolutely nowhere. And truth be told, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith coming to Las Vegas, the Raiders actually played worse than if they would have just kept things after Josh McDaniels left. I forget the name of the coach that was there, who I think did an okay job, not the best, but now they're unfortunately they signed Clint Kubiak. I'm pretty sure he's done celebrating a Super Bowl, and the Raiders got the number 1 draft pick in this year's draft. They're more than likely going to get Fernando Mendoza, and I mean, who knows what's going to happen in Las Vegas? All I know is that Geno Smith, I don't see him getting another starting quarterback position anywhere in the league. I think him and Russell Wilson
not with Clint Kubiak at the helm, because you have to think that he's going to get released this year as well, twice, 2 years in a row, by the same coach.
Oh yeah, by the same. I didn't even think about that.
Geno Smith is the unluckiest player ever in the NFL because there in Seattle, he got rid of him, traded him away, and then now this year that he's the head coach, Clint Kubiak, he's done. They're going to go with Mendoza, like you said, and then he's out the door.
Mm-hmm. And here we go, Lieber, with number 4.
As we played a ton
Buffalo
today,
Bills.
now it's like go out there and save our season.
I was there.
1st and 10.
They're going after him.
Going for the end zone, over the shoulder. Oh, Mims hauls it in.
But still,
So
that was a hell of a catch, Lieber.
That game right there, me and my son were talking about this as well on this in particular play, and the highest of highs to the lowest of lows on that game. Because of us losing Bo Nix. We're leaving the stadium. All right, we're going to the AFC Championship game, and then while on our drive out, getting the news that he broke his ankle, which still hurts. But you know what? Just like he said earlier, it's going to be all right. We're going to be stronger than ever, and it's going to be good.
The fact that we haven't had a hard knock season, Libre, is, I think, an insult to Broncos country everywhere, because that would have made for some epic television, because I'm pretty sure every Broncos fan wants to know what happened from the start of that day until the end, everything that the cameras captured. I know we saw pictures of Bo in the locker room, and he was surrounded by the coaches and the staff, and just trying to kind of absorb the fact that he was not going to be able to play the following week, and then now all attention turned on to Jarrett Stidham. And it was a huge ask to ask Stidham to go out there and win an AFC Championship game, let alone, if you can do it, then go out and do it again and win a Super Bowl in 2 weeks' time. So it just sucks. It really does suck. And that Buffalo game, again, we all keep saying the same thing. If the refs would have called that holding call at the start of overtime, we more than likely would have gotten Bo Nix the following week, because he wouldn't have had to play in that drive where he got hurt eventually. So And I mean, you could say either way. The calls, the 2 holding calls against the following drive that put the Broncos in so many variables, Libre. So many freaking variables. And unfortunately, while the Broncos won the battle, they definitely in the end lost the war. And
Yep.
it just sucks going forward. But that was a magnificent play, catch by Mims. I was really hoping that they wouldn't go into like the bobble. Did he catch it? Did he land with it? Because he started holding his back. I did worry about Mims when he was holding his back. I'm like, oh geez, please be okay. Please be okay. you know. But thankfully he was. And for number 4, it's not bad, Libre.
No, it's
I'm
pretty
surprised
good,
at I'm surprised at what we're seeing at number 3, though. Let's check this out.
Work the middle of the field.
2 big targets to the left. Nick's looking that way, not open, trying to take off. Got it away for the touchdown.
He loves to sprint forward, but
Let it
most
play
guys
with him,
pull up. No, he doesn't want to do that. He's going to throw and keep
look
that
at
knee
that.
off the ground. And
Literally inches, Libre. Like his knee was like maybe this much from touching
That's
the
why it's
freaking
called the
ground.
game of inches, bro. That's why it's called the game of inches. I don't remember if I remember it right or not. Because of course I wasn't there at that game because it was in Washington. But I think I remember hearing Chris Collinsworth saying, this is a Patrick Mahomes type of play because of the way he threw it and so forth.
Mhm.
I was like, I get it, but this is Bo effing Nix. Come on. And he's gonna get his own. I feel like now that that we've got our quarterback and the way that everything is being structured, the way that it's set up for that Bo is gonna dominate this division for a while, and then they're gonna start thinking of Bo as what they say about with Mahomes. But
Mhm.
just alone, him being able to get up into the pocket and then being able to get that ball out there, even with that sidearm to Cortland, and then Cortland just coming across and being open on there, everything just worked out in unison for that play. And yes, I do agree that it should be there in the top 3. It's a very good play, and that was like one of the turning points. I guess not a turning point, but because the game did go into overtime, but it was still a great play all together between Bo and with Cortland getting that ball there.
Now, I will say this was the game where I kind of started to worry a little bit because we were coming off of our bye and the Broncos were hot.
Yeah.
And the offense, while they did have their struggles in this game, and you see this magnificent play by Bo Nix, I felt like the defense just had a really bad day at the office. Now, we did talk about it right after Libre, and we did say that the field conditions in Washington were terrible.
Yeah.
We saw our pass rushers, Cooper and Bonito, just sliding all over the place as if they were playing in mud. So they did unfortunately have that disadvantage, and I'm pretty sure they were switching cleats in between drives and whatnot. But aside from that game got a little bit too close to home. And if it wasn't for the fact that Nick Bonito can jump really high, we would have lost that game if Mariota makes that easy catch, because the guy he was throwing it to was wide open, and he walks in for the 2-point conversion, and we lose. So the fact that he was able to bat that down and send the Broncos, I think we still had our undefeated streak, kept it going for another week, was just an amazing feeling. It was great. I felt like I could breathe again after watching that.
Well, this was for this game itself. It was the 9 games in a row. It wasn't undefeated because we lost week 2 and 3.
That's correct. I stand corrected. Yeah. But it was still a fantastic drive and fantastic game. And playing against Von Miller too for probably the last time, was an amazing thing to see. But definitely top 3 moment right here. I agree.
touchdown for the Denver.
Washington for the win. Mariota has it rejected by Bonito.
Speak of the devil, they read my mind. A part of me, a small part of me felt bad for Mariota because the following day, the NFL analysts and stuff, they hammered Mariota. They were like, you should have lobbed it. You should have known better. But when you got a guy as quick and powerful as Nick Bonito barreling down, you're lucky he didn't take a sack, to be honest with you, because most quarterbacks would have just went down and it's like, hey, that's it, game over, we lost. But lobbing the ball doesn't guarantee that his wide receiver catches it, because if that ball's in the air, that gives the defense a chance to come down and make a play, even if he was wide open. So, and it was just, you could see the frustration. That was just the frustration coming out of the pass rushers, because they were not able to get home and sack Mariota like we expected them to. And this was a game where Jaden Daniels was ruled out. And we thought that Terry McLaurin was going to be ruled out for that game, but he unfortunately didn't. He played that game, and he was a whole lot more better than I gave him credit for. And he kept Washington in that game, and he was a big reason why that game went into overtime as well. So, but unfortunately, for every game, Libre, there has to be a loser. And, Washington was it. But that was a fantastic play by Nick Bonito. He didn't lead. He didn't lead and, take the quarterback down and possibly get a roughing the passer call, which would have been terrible. He literally just took a chance and just jumped up and batted that ball down. And that was the end of the game. So that's definitely a great number 2 play, Libre. And I can definitely see why they picked it as number 2.
I feel I already know what number 1 is, and I don't agree with the number 1, but let's see what it is.
I honestly have no idea, but if I had to guess, I'm trying to think. I'd probably say it was the number, probably back to the Giants game where Nick Bonito ran it in. Either that or where what's his name, the quarterback from the Giants threw the interception that set up the momentum swing. Either one of those two.
All right, let's see.
And Denver has won 9 in a row.
Well, it's Bills.
Coming after him all out. They pick it up, and they go deep down the field, and the pass is caught. No, it's McMillan has the football. How about that? Jaquan McMillan ends up in a wrestling match with the football.
Wow.
See, I knew this was the number 1 because it's like the same thing that the Broncos released as well. But that one right there, I do feel could have been either 2 or 3. And I think that the Nick Bonito one should have been like 1. At least number 1, because that was the saving grace of that game itself. Yes, that play right there, I think it was like 3rd down for them. I can't remember if it was the 3rd down, and that was really like a punt. Like if it was incomplete at that point, then it was a punt. But again, I could see why they put it there, because as well, this is a playoff game. If he would have completed that pass, they would have been in field goal position to just kick the field goal for the win. So I get why they did that as well. But again, it could have probably been maybe 3, 4, 5 possibly. So, but that's just in my opinion.
I mean, it was a great play, Libre, don't get me wrong. I don't think I would have picked that as number 1. I mean, also for the simple fact, Libre, that there was so much controversy over that play. It's probably the most controversial call in a long time. Maybe not in franchise history per se, but definitely in a long time. And it was just like, was it a catch? Was it not a catch? Did he have possession? Was it contested? It was, oh my God. And it doesn't matter whether you knew the NFL rule book by your hand or if you were a coach couch. It was just bad. I thought they were going to show, when I saw the Bills, I thought they were going to show the one where Josh Allen, for some reason, decided he could run the ball before halftime and the Broncos recovered it. I thought that was going to be number 1. And I almost forgot about that play, to be honest with you, Libre. But not to take anything away from Jaquan McMillan, because Jaquan McMillan has been a fantastic fantastic asset for this Broncos defense. But I mean, it just like, I don't know. I don't, that would have probably been my number 2, to be honest with you, Libre. Again, my number 1 would have been the Bo Nix run-in with the ball against the Giants, because even though I wasn't at the stadium like you, Libre, that reaction from that crowd was just like, oh my God, you could hear it from your TV screen. It was that freaking good.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. And again, this Denver Broncos team just throughout the whole season had so many great plays. I know that their job for them was hard just to create the 10 best plays. And I agree with that play right there as well. Should have been it. There you go.
And
yeah.
Jay Weaver with a really weird Twitter picture says best play of the year for
That's
me.
Joker.
Yeah, it's Joker, but it's like, I don't know. He agrees with us, saying best play of the year for me was the quarterback draw that we ran in the fourth quarter against the Giants. Bo running through the end zone with his hands in the air was just perfect.
Perfect. I agree.
And it was, because for that entire week, Libre, we just saw like every highlight, no matter what it was, it always ended with Bo running with his hands open and literally stealing a win from the jaws of defeat. You couldn't have written it any better than that. So the fact that that play wasn't even in that top 10, I feel is wrong. Not to take away from any of the ones that they picked. Again, that's their opinion. But you had to have included that, because that play in itself helps set up. And regardless of how the Broncos won that game, that doesn't matter. It sucks that Cam Scatterbo got hurt.
Yeah.
And, but again, injuries are a part of that game. And it's a next man league. That's really, and that's just how it is. And the quarterback for the Giants, after it and that just goes to show you, Libre, how losing just one piece can break a team's foundation in no time. Because since they lost Cam, they were not the same the remaining of the season, especially when they played the Eagles again, a team they had dominated just 2 weeks before that. Like, they just got shellacked, and you could see the frustration in the defense, especially in that Denver game, Libre, where they showed Brian Burns walking back to the locker room, and he was just hitting and smacking everything along the way, even using a couple expletives going back to the locker room, saying how they shouldn't have lost that effing game.
No, and it's so true, because look at the score when the fourth quarter started. It was 19-0, and then again, this is why I always tell people at the stadium, never leave the game early. Even with 10 minutes to go in that game, they ended up scoring a touchdown. The Giants scored a touchdown, and that's when you saw the mass exodus happen at the stadium. That game was probably the easiest game to get out of the parking lot at the stadium and whatnot. But this is why I always tell people, even there's another season ticket holder that sits right behind me that brings his daughter. His daughter's about 6-7 years old, something like that. And I turned around and I pointed at her. I said, and this is why you never leave the game early. And I heard, of course, the dad goes, and this is why we're still here. I go, exactly. But because you never know what's going to happen. And look at what all these people missed. I guarantee there's about, I'll say 45,000 people missed the greatest comeback that has happened in such a long time in Mile High.
And for the record, I noticed that there weren't no highlights were picked from the Colts game, the one that me and Johnny Baki were at. And for the record, I want to blame that loss still. It was Johnny's fault. Yeah, it was Johnny's fault that we lost that game.
Damn it, Johnny.
Damn it, Johnny. But no, not Jay. Jay's cool. Because he was there too. But all in all, folks, and CJ saying that Colts game sucked, man. It didn't go the way that we wanted it to, especially because that stupid call is probably going to haunt me every time I see a picture of Lucas Oil Stadium for like the rest of my life, maybe. But
I don't even see how they could call leverage on that. And then you go back and look at other plays throughout the year, and there's way worse leverage against teams that were never called. So yeah, that's still I don't blame you. It hurts.
Yeah, damn near doing backflips, Libre, and
Right?
not a damn thing. And of course, me being the bigger person as we were exiting the stadium that day, and you guys have heard me talk about it here on the show, where it was like, let's see you guys at the playoffs, because the Colts looked like they were damn near shooing,
Yeah.
and their season collapsed in front of their very eyes. They lost their quarterback. They took a huge gamble getting Sauce Gardner for some freaking reason, and he goes down. And credit to Phillip Rivers for trying, but they were probably one of the few teams, if not maybe the only AFC team, that took the Seahawks to their limit, because that game came to field goals.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that the Seahawks weren't able to destroy the Colts, but they were able to destroy New England. So that's probably like the one thing I love about this sport, Libre, is that nothing ever seems the way it is on paper.
And again, it's all about matchups too, and though you make the adjustments within the game itself. So that's why it's always said, any given Sunday.
Exactly. Like, people think that they just say that just because it's a saying that everybody says. It's like, no, that's what it really freaking is. It's any freaking Sunday, and there's no other better way to put it. But again, the Broncos only losing 3 games out of 17 was a whole lot better than a lot of people predicted. And again, 14-3 is very, very impressive. Two of those losses, those 3 losses, were definitely unfortunate. The Jaguars was the only game where the Broncos were not able to come back, and where they were just beaten at the point of attack. Because they made mistakes. They were not able to rebound off of them, and you can almost say that they underestimated a Jaguars team that's starting to be on the mend.
You know what? And I have to say this. I saw it in person. That's what sucked.
You're the reason we lost, Libre.
No, it wasn't me. The Broncos were behind when the scoreboard hit zeros.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of regulation, which means it is now time for us to go into some overtime.
Let's go.
And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. This is Broncos Talk Overtime. If this is your first time here, this is where Libre and I let down our hair figuratively and talk about anything going on in our lives that we deem to seem fit. It's more than likely not going to be football related or related to the Broncos, but if there's a way we can bring it back around, then we most certainly will try. But there's no guarantees. So it's like an open mic night, if you will. And I kind of wanted to reiterate the point that I talked about at the beginning of the show, Libre. I don't know if you were paying attention, but I basically said that I started watching videos of people getting their car repoed.
Yeah.
And it's like, and all these people have the exact same reaction, which kind of made me wonder if it was staged at first, but then it's like, nah, because that'd be too big of a coinkydink. And it's like people saying, oh, well, I paid my car. Or I just got done talking to the bank or whatever. And it's like, and the guy always says, like, if you paid it off, I wouldn't be here right now. Why would I?
Well, and that's so true, because I know like a lot of repo places do double check before they actually go out and make sure with the finance company or the bank or whatever to make sure that no payments have been made, to make sure that that work order that they have is still in good order. It's I don't know if you've ever watched the TV show Operation Repo or whatever.
Mhm.
Like watching those, some of those I feel like are staged because it's set up with it, or
Yeah.
the Mile High, or not Mile High, but the Miami Toe or whatever.
Mhm.
I know that one's staged because some of the people that were on there saying, "Oh yeah, that's I was paid to be a character there." But you know
Mhm.
what? It's entertainment value, being able to watch these guys and so forth to do that. But yeah, I guarantee a lot of these people think they're just trying to get the saying, "Oh no, I've called it, I paid it," just so that they can not get their vehicle towed. It's just something a tactic that I know that those repo people hear all the time, and like, well, if that's the case, I wouldn't be here to pick it up. And it's like, and it's a redundant. I think that they just deal with it day in and day out, and like I've heard the same story a million times. Like, tell me something different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had this conversation with my dad the other day, and I was like, "Listen, if it came to one day where I can't afford to keep making the payments on my car, just tell me where to go leave it because I'm not going to be driving around and risking myself coming out of wherever it is I'm doing, and my car's gone,
Yeah,
and all my stuff that was in the car is gone. Now I'm stranded, and now I got to try to figure out who took my car and how much it's going to cost me to get it back, knowing I don't have the money to take it out of the
right.
corral or what have you because I didn't have money to pay for it in the first place. So it's like, here, man, look, here's your car. I know I still owe the bank or whatever. I'll talk to them. I'll see what I can do
Yeah,
and whatnot. But you would never catch me acting like one of those people you see on TV, like just lying and making myself look even worse by lying.
you say that now, but I want to see that when it does happen to you. Like, I already paid it. What are you doing? Don't take my car.
Yeah.
They
Put my
probably will
ass
just let
down.
it go. They'll probably drop the car because you're 6'10" and they're gonna be probably 5'5". The repo guy's probably 5'5" and you're 6'10".
Well, I think there's a rule where supposedly once a tow truck excuse me, lifts your car up, they can't put it down
Yeah.
until they
Well,
get
I
to
have
the
heard.
tow yard.
Well, depending on how it is, I know like there's some like if it's like because it's being repoed like that, they can't release it to you unless they get the paperwork from the finance company to do it. But
Mhm.
if say you're illegally parked and they're towing you, there's like a release fee, like you have to pay right there for a certain amount. But if you don't pay that amount there, say we'll just say $100. If you don't pay them $100 there to drop it, then if it goes back to the yard, it's going back to the yard for $250. So they give them the opportunity to do that. But if you don't pay them right then and there, because once it is lifted, yeah, I think it is like written within the law for them to say, hey, we're out here to do something because you're illegally parked or whatever. In order for us to do this, this is what's going to have to happen. So pay 100 now or 250 later when you go pick it up from the yard.
Yeah, I think there are some tow yards here in Chicago because I know it happened to me when my car got towed years ago. You have to have two
Forms
licenses
of ID.
to go
Damn.
get your car out of the corral, and that doesn't make any sense because I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, why the f do you need two people with two licenses to take out one car? Like, how the hell? Like, I don't get it. I don't know why they would issue or want you to bring two people with two licenses.
Yeah, I don't
There's
get
only
that
one
either.
steering wheel on the freaking car.
So this is what happened to me a long time ago. This is going back like 20 years or something like that, where we went to the Bronco game and our car got towed because we were parked within the we weren't in the parking lot, we're on the street parking, and this is like a game early in the season. But what was cool is they all took it to this one little yard, and they said, "All right, give us $120. You get it released. No other fees, no nothing like that. 120, and that's it." And damn, like I do remember the game like we won. I can't remember who we played, but I know we won the game. I go, damn, we won the game, but then we come to find out the car got towed and all that, and now we have to figure a way to get to this little yard to get our car out, and we were able to get it down later that day or whatever. But it just sucked having to do that. But I remember doing that, but never had my car towed since. So make sure I'm always parked in the proper spot.
Yeah, I try to read every sign the best I can, and if I don't understand it, I don't leave my car there because
Right.
I'd rather not be wrong about what the hell I read because I don't want to look like an idiot when I
You know, and
go.
it's funny that we're talking about this as well. Is like I have people ask me all the time, where should I park? Where can I park at? I go, come early, come with me, get early in the tailgate, and we can park there. But no, people want to wait, find a lot that's close by, pay $100. Like somebody I know that couldn't find a parking spot. And yeah, I'm talking about you.
Hey, or
Uh,
in my defense, I had no idea that there were signs posted everywhere that says you can't park there on Sundays on the street. Like I had never seen that many signs that said that in my life. And when we did find a parking lot that was close to it wasn't that far from the stadium, and I just parked in between the cones, and then the lady was like, no, you have to wait because they have to move the cone and then you can park there. I'm like, okay. So I backed up, waited for her to move the cone, and then I parked where the cone was. And then my nephew's like, aren't you going to ask how much it is to park? I'm like, it's got to be like 30, 25, 30 bucks. And then I was about to give the lady my card, and she's like, yeah, it's like 80, 85. And I was like, I grabbed it and I pulled it back, like 80, 85. Like, what the frick? Like, hell no. And then she's like, I'm like, no, I'm going to go look around, see if I can find something else. And she's like, okay. So I gave my car back and I drove for like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, I told my nephew, if we absolutely cannot find anything, then yeah, I'll pay the 85 bucks. Hopefully they take a credit card. And then there was a church parking lot that was with a big old sign that said $25 parking. Boom, right there.
Right.
So it was a bit of a longer walk, but we walked right past the lady and I was like, I got parking, thank you. And she just kind of like,
Well, you have to remember that lot that you're going to is not part of the Broncos lot, and it's actually considered a private lot, and they can charge whatever they want.
yeah.
So, and then talking about that as well, coming up, the Broncos just had a open community meeting, showing a rendering of the stadium, what it's going to be looking like, and I'm kind of concerned about tailgating, how it's actually going to be done, because there's a lot of areas that currently do tailgate, but the way that they have it set up is going to be a very small area, which is not even the same size of lot C, I think, where I normally park at. And that gets full really quick, unless it's going to be all these people that do combine and not all these people that are showing up late. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I might be looking up and setting up a GoFundMe so that I can go out and buy some land somewhere around the stadium and just build a parking lot there to create a tailgate environment.
I don't know if you noticed, Lieber, but you kind of froze towards the end there.
Just kidding. No, I was just saying about the tailgate. So everyone needs to start going to do the GoFundMe. I'll set it up here so that we can buy a parking lot, so we have an area dedicated by the stadium so we can tailgate. That's an idea. Something I need to look into, buy some property around there and just create a parking lot so that we can tailgate, set that up real easy. And because that's how like they do in Seattle. Seattle, there's like by the stadium, there's no, like they have parking there, but a lot of it's like the ADA parking. But the tailgates are within the city itself, like 5-6 blocks away, where you have the tailgate. And it's literally, there's a building right there, like a business building, and it's like their parking lot. And that's where you're at in the parking lot, and that's it. So I hope that's not what it's going to be, how here it is going to be in Denver, but kind of looks like it might.
Libre, did you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial this year?
You know what? I did not really pay attention to any of the commercials because some of the first ones that came out were AI. and I lost interest right away. And I was like, I know this is why we watch the Super Bowl. They're paying $8 million for 30 seconds, but I did not pay attention to any of these at all because those first couple ones, I go, this is freaking AI. I don't want to watch AI.
I don't even remember seeing those, to be honest with you. I may have missed it because I remember our pizza finally showed up and I was too busy eating. So I remember that. But I do remember the one that I wouldn't say it was the best one, but the one that I found funny was the Dunkin' Donuts one that had like all the old stars from the 90s in it. It had Urkel, Alfonso Ribeiro, Blake Carlton on the Fresh Prince. It had Tom Brady. Was that Jennifer Aniston, I believe? A bunch of all other celebrities in there. And it was a nice trip of nostalgia, even though technically they weren't playing their former characters. What's his name? The guy that played George Costanza too.
Jason.
Yeah, and so it was great. It was great to see them, all that. But I do feel that the Super Bowl commercials the last couple of years have just not been. They used to be like really funny, and just like funny to see, funny to watch, and now it's just kind of like, yeah, like you mentioned AI, and some of them were just like not even all that funny. And the fact that they have to pay between, what is it, $5 to $10 million for a 30-second spot or so, it's like, and you don't get to generate a buzz. Yeah.
Well, when I go back to the old time Budweiser commercials,
Yeah,
like
those
the
were cool.
Clydesdale, going back to seeing the Clydesdale, seeing Spot the dog, seeing those ones, and then the frogs. Those were probably the best ones itself. Going Bud Wise, those are the ones that I think I like the best. These ones now that they've done so far, like how you said, have not been good at all.
Well, my favorite Super Bowl commercial, and it continues to be my number one most of all. And if you follow me on TikTok, you've seen me post it because I had to repost it. Was from a couple of years ago, that Coca-Cola commercial where America the Beautiful was saying in different languages. So, it was just a fantastic commercial, a sign of unity from one of my favorite beverages. Although I don't really drink regular Coca-Cola anymore, Libre. I have to drink diet because I got used to it. And it just tastes so much better than regular Coca-Cola. But it was a great commercial. Nonetheless, besides the smackdown that the Patriots got, and I just love saying that, by the Seattle Seahawks by halftime. It was a great halftime show too. Even though I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny's music, like I didn't know that there were actual people dressed up as shrubs. That was funny as hell.
And there's one thing that I heard that there was a lot of those guys that were, I think they were the cornfield, so they're like the corn or whatever, that each one of them were paid like $1,800 a person.
Yeah, something like
to
that.
do that. And then I saw this other video just I think earlier this week. They were saying that this is all for Bad Bunny's protection and doing all this, that they were to help divert him getting injured because of the snipers and all that. But it's just a lot of theories that are going out there and whatnot. And I'm like, come on, everyone just needs to chill. He was out there showing his culture, the Latino culture that's happening there. And again, he's an American, and that's the thing, is that they don't understand that he's an American. Yes, he may not speak English all that well, but he's an American. And they're just not a state, but they're a territory of the United States. So they're born, they have socials, they have everything.
And shout out to Ricky Martin for continuing to melt women's hearts, because that guy seems to have gotten better. That guy seems to have gotten better over time. And if Latinos age like that, then I am really looking forward to 10 years from now. Wow. I didn't realize that he cut off most of his hair, though, but I was still able to recognize his face. And I can't really name a lot of Ricky Martin songs off the top of my head except for Viva la Vida Loca, but that's like his probably the song that
That's
a lot
his
of people
number
remember
one,
it
yeah.
from. But it was great. I enjoyed it. And again, going into next year, $25 parking, found the spot.
Nice.
I can see that. Well, I'm probably when I go. Well, next time I go to Denver, I'm with Bronco Libre, so I don't know what Bronco Libre drives, but it's probably gonna be parked a whole lot closer than where I was 2 years ago.
Well, I agree with that 100%. Tim Dog, George knows. They come to the tailgate every time they show up.
And then you have Antonia Costa who says Libre.
That's my boy,
Yes, free
Bronco
parking.
Tiz. He's right there, my ride or die tailgating partner right there.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our overtime segment. We are going to end it a little bit early just for the fact that we started a little bit late. That's what happens when you take a whole week off. You lose track of time. But Libre and I would like to say thanks to everybody that was in the chat today. Jorge, Antonio, Jay, Mahai Medlock, Shai Vargas. I was going to say
Tim
Orange
Dog.
Network. Yeah, that was you. And thank you to everybody, especially those listening to us to the radio. Again, we do apologize for not being here last week, but we will be going back to our normally scheduled program. Now,
His fault.
I will say there will be times during the off season where, that was loud sale. There will be times during the off season where we might not be able to stream like during like every single week like we do during the regular season. So please do keep that in mind. And it's not because we're sick or anything. It's just that as we go further down the rabbit hole, like Broncos content, just it's like it's hard, you know. So do bear with us during that. And every little nugget that the Broncos give us, we are definitely going to talk the hell out of it until September. But before we get on out of here, Libre and I would just like to remind you, if you could please show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network. If you could subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all the other programs and shows we have here on the network. If there's something you heard us talk about that you agree or don't agree with, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section, and we will reply to you ASAP. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Audio listeners, we do appreciate the fact that you're listening us to, regardless of what platform it is. Your support is very much appreciated. If you'd like to give us a 5-star review, that's appreciated as well. You can screenshot it and send it to our socials there on the bottom, and we will gladly read it out on live here on the air. Our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom. If you can't see them, mine is at 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Shout out to our sponsor, Dubby. Again, if you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your final order at checkout with all of your favorite Dubby flavors and products. Once again, we'd like to thank Dubby for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back on Friday for Viva Los Broncos. I know I say that all the time, but we mean it this time. Unless something happens where Libre can't make it, and he's the face of the franchise, so
for Friday, we might be pushed back a little bit depending on travel time for me. So I won't find out until later that day anyway. So, but I will. We should have that later that night. We'll be good to go, but we may not be at our normal scheduled time though.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It might be Viva Los Broncos After Dark.
Oh, cuídate. Whoa, is his mask going to come off? Oh, no. No puedo.
Better your mask than your shirt, bro, and my shirt too.
I hope we get all the views for it.
Boy, that's a meeting with HR I wouldn't want to have if we have one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz. This has been Broncos Talk here on the Orange and Blue Network. With that, we say good night, so long, good day, depending on where you're watching us. And as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go!
Let's go!